Meeting of the Town of Wendell Board of Commissioners. Happy to have all of you here with us tonight. We're going to be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Police Chief Bill Carter.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our invocation tonight from the Wendell Council of Churches. We're going to hear from Gaynell Gold from the Wendell Christian Church. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate the Wendell Board of Commissioners continuing to invite the Wendell Council of Churches to do the invocation for you. At this time, please join me by praying in your faith and tradition as I pray in mine. Dear Lord, thank you today for the sunshine and the rain. Oh, what a glorious rain. Bless those in our community who need our blessings and give us the courage and faith to help them, especially the ones who need it most. Bless these officials as they make decisions that will affect our town, our friends, our neighbors, our community, our state, and our nation. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. Are there any adjustments to the agenda? Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
All right, we have a motion to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, move to our public comment period. Just a quick reminder, citizens can participate in public comment by signing up the night of the meeting here. You can submit a written statement to the town clerk by 5 o'clock the Friday before the meeting, and it will be read into the record for 3 minutes. If you sign up in person, you also have 3 minutes. And you can request to call the Uber conference line, the same thing, by 5 o'clock on the Fridays before the meeting, and you have 3 minutes to speak then as well. Tonight we have 2 people signed up, and the first is Edie Now.
Good evening. I'm Edie Nowell. I live at 1016 Lake Glad Road, and I would like for y'all to really consider the item 6A and 6B of how it's going to affect the people on Lake Glad Road. The 3 Pond subdivision, I think, is what y'all are saying that it's going to be called. It's nothing in that subdivision is comparable to anything that is on Lake Glad Road at this time. So we're asking that you turn this down. We're asking, if you're going to put the subdivision there anyway, give people larger lots, homes that they can live in. And I heard a program on Channel 5, it's called The Hot Market, talking about people this day and time wanted to buy houses that had more land because they were working remotely from home and they wanted to have, larger yards. And with what is standing now with 3 feet from your house to the middle, you got 3 feet, so 6 feet total between your house and somebody else's. That's not living. That's not living. Also, I think the residents of Lake Glad Road deserve to know what type of subdivision it's supposed to be. It's been said that it'd be a retirement. They're suggesting that it might be apartments. So can y'all tell us exactly what the proposed plan is for that subdivision? And also, I'm concerned about the traffic because I live directly across the road from it. I have difficulty coming out. And I'm not thinking only for me. Thinking the other residents, there's a curve right there where that entrance comes out. You've got the traffic coming from Johnston County on Eagle Rock Road. This traffic will go down to Eagle Rock Road. I know y'all plan to put a turn lane, but it probably won't help the traffic. And like I say, if you don't get there before 7 o'clock or after 8, you can't get out. And I think we deserve the same consideration that y'all gave the Marshmans down on Lake Mile Road. But most of all, this subdivision the houses in it are not compatible with anything on Lake Glad Road, and I'd rather y'all turn it down, and including the making it a part of the town of Wendell. Thank you.
Thank you. The next is Dave Wilder. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell Ms. Now. Could you give me your name, your address?
Yes, I know to do that. I thought I'd
Okay.
wait till I got to the
Okay,
microphone.
that's fine. I just was making sure I
I'm
didn't
getting to be a
forget that.
regular here.
We're happy to have you.
I'm Dave Wilder, live at 212 Wythe Lane. I attended the planning board meeting the other day, I guess a week ago tonight, and I heard something that got me thinking about this proposal as well as the Edwards project, just a little ways separated on Lake Glad Road. 3 members of the planning board said something to the effect of they would like to buy a place, or one of them said, we're actively looking for a house and you can't find one where the houses are more spread out, and we need more of that around Wendell. One of the ladies on our street spoke about the Edwards project not too long ago when we were here talking about it. Her son and his family would love to move to Wendell, but they don't want to live in a house that's wedged right up next to each other. That's the big complaint that we have with the Edwards project and this other project right down the road. When you're talking about houses 6 feet apart, or at our, right at us, I think it's 10 feet apart, 5 feet to the property line, that is nowhere near compatible with the houses that are around there. Now, when I mentioned that at the planning board, the builder got up and spoke, and he said that compatible means you don't put a shopping center adjacent to single-family homes and that kind of thing. I think that it means something besides that. I think if you're talking about putting houses squeezed up against each other, at the Edwards project, we're looking at 7 houses per acre. I know there's a row of half-acre lots. Then you go across the street, and they're right against each other, okay? When you put that right at existing neighborhood, that the smallest lots are like 2 acres, and the houses are big, and it's people that we've worked all our lives to get to where we are, okay? We've gone through the starter family home, all right? That's not compatible. The thing keeps this down the road at Lake Glad, this project, they keep talking about it, they're marketing it towards retirees. Well, let me tell you, you put 2-story houses, 40-foot wide lots, 2-story houses. You're not selling a 2-story house to somebody my age and older. We don't want the stairs.
Thank you.
My time's up. You know where I stand on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
And we have no recognitions, reports, and presentations or public hearings tonight. We'll move to item 6, our administrative items. Item 6A is a decision on a non-contiguous annexation petition A2202 of approximately 41.83 acres located at 1129 Lake Glad Road, PIN number 17822924887.
Good evening, Mayor and board members.
Yes.
I'm going to go over 6A and 6B because I think
That's what I was getting ready to say, because I know last time there was some,
going over the updated zoning conditions on 6B, but 6A, there was no changes. The property is still 41.83 acres.
Okay.
Annexation petition is still eligible for annexation, and but I'll go to 6B, which is the rezoning request, CD Conditional District 2106, to rezone approximately 41.83 acres. Public hearing was held at the previous meeting. It is a single-family residential neighborhood that's being proposed. Condition 3 was updated and reads, in order to promote variation in home appearance, no front elevation or primary siding color shall be constructed within 2 houses of identical elevation or primary siding color on the same side of the street or across the street. For corner lots, no identical elevation or primary siding color will be constructed diagonally across an intersection. Condition 11 was updated to read, front yards on non-corner lots will be sodded to the front corners of the house. For corner lots, the entire yard will be sodded. Condition 15 is related to when the amenities need to be permitted or permits need to be obtained. Prior to the issuance of the 51st building permit for a home, all permits for site amenities must be obtained. So that means the open space permits, whether it's the pickleball courts, the amenity clubhouse, the permits need to be obtained before we issue the 51st home in there. The applicant is here and can field additional questions if you have any. I was not going to go over all the rest of the slides. The conditions are the only change that the applicant has sent to the town.
All right, let's see if there's any questions for you first. Are there
Okay.
any questions for Mr. Coates from the board?
That's it? Those are the only 3 things?
They
No
changed.
more parking or anything like that? Or
No, those conditions were the 3 that they adjusted.
And lot size is the same? Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. Are there any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, if you could, someone could speak to my question from last time about.
Yeah, Matt Hooks is here with Ellis Developments. I'll have Matt come up.
Hello, Matt Hook from Ellis Developments. Commissioner Joyner, I believe you had a question last time about rentals, and we did look into that. We had our counsel look into that pretty in-depthly, and one of the biggest concerns for us is that there's a lot of state precedent, and it leaks into the Federal Fair Housing Act, and that is not something that our counsel advised us to do. We don't want to open ourselves up to a discrimination lawsuit. We still think that this is a great project for Wendell. We are targeting those amenities to a certain buyer, a buyer who's used to owning their home. We expect this to be a builder who comes in and builds for sale units. You know, that's kind of what we want for this project. But as far as putting an actual condition, we're just not comfortable legally opening ourselves up to something like that.
I appreciate that, and what I was attempting to get to last time was motive and intent. I certainly appreciate the answer on it, and understanding more broadly what the plan for the total development was, what as a business model, and I believe you've answered that. So thank you for that.
Yep. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Any other questions from the board?
I didn't, I know at the end of the last meeting, because we had 2 weeks, we asked for staff to take comments or requests for conditions. I didn't receive any phone calls or emails requesting conditions. I don't know if anyone else did, but I was going to ask staff if they had received any request of specific conditions.
We had no request for any additional conditions from residents.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
With that, Madam Mayor, for a motion.
Yeah, I'm ready. You want A and B in one? Okay.
Is that permissible? Madam Mayor, I move we adopt the proposed annexation in 6A, and as well as the attached development in item 6B. Move approval of items 6A and 6B.
So you're making a motion to adopt the request, the annexation ordinance, and to approve the rezoning request and adopt that ordinance as well, with conditions.
Yes, ma'am.
And that does include the statement of consistency.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
With the additional condition.
yes. All right, is there any discussion on the motion? All right, let's signify with your hands this time. All in favor? And opposed? All right. All right, item 6C is appointments to the Downtown Development Committee, Planning Board, and the Parks and Recreation Commission. B was in that,
Before we go any further,
Uh-huh.
it's been brought to my attention, the Facebook live stream is not working. It's indicating that it's working on our teleprompter with East Wake TV, but it's not showing if someone's looking. So I just wanted to make the board aware that
okay,
anybody who posts or requests about that will have to catch the meeting on the recorded stream once we get it posted tomorrow.
okay, thank you. All right. Ms. Howard.
Good evening. All right. So Citizen Advisory Board recruitment began in April of this year, with the application deadline being Monday, June 13th. The following board vacancies were advertised. The Downtown Development Committee had 5 vacancies with no residency requirements for terms of 2 years. The Parks and Recreation Commission had 1 in-town vacancy with a 3-year term for adults and 1-year term for students. The Planning Board had 4 in-town vacancies with 3-year terms and 2 ETJ vacancies with 2-year terms. We received 10 applications for the DDC, 3 applications for the Parks and Rec Commission, 9 applications for the in-town Planning Board vacancies, and 7 applications for the ETJ Planning Board vacancies. Applicants were informed of the appointment process and were encouraged to attend tonight's meeting at 6:30 to introduce themselves to the town board by approaching the dais before the meeting. The board will now vote for appointments on a ballot, beginning with the Downtown Development Committee. And if you could print your name as opposed to signing in cursive, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so for the Downtown Development Committee, we have Doris K. Jerkowicz, Dustin Ingalls, Ashley Anderson, Derek Askew, and Braxton Honeycutt. I'm now going to pass out the ballots for the Parks and Recreation Commission. We only need one person with a 3-year term for adults, 1 year for students. My apologies. Okay. For the Parks and Recreation Commission, we have Rebecca Elaine Freeman will be our in-town member. Now I'm going to pass out the ballots for the in-town planning board positions. There are 4 available with 3-year terms. Okay. For the in-town planning board positions, we have Benjamin R. Griffin, Bradley Taylor, Tina Cheek, and Philip Beasley. Now going to pass out the ETJ planning board ballots. As a reminder, we have 2 available vacancies to fill. Okay, for the ETJ positions, we have Brad Jordan and Tevis L. High Jr. As a reminder to applicants, we'll keep all applications on file for the next year, and if another vacancy comes up, we will reach out and see if you're still interested, and I will let them know of the appointments. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Item 6D is a request for a temporary street closure for fireworks display at the Wendell Park on Saturday, July 2nd. Mr. Pulaski.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Commissioners. I'm here seeking approval for the temporary street closure of the requested streets for the fireworks display at Wendell Park on July the 2nd. The town of Wendell will be hosting its first town-sponsored fireworks show on Saturday, July the 2nd, 2022 at the Wendell Community Park in celebration of the 4th of July. The special event necessitates the following street closures. Wendell Park or not just street closures, but closures. Wendell Park on Friday, July the 1st at 9 p.m. at the park entrance and at Landing View. The park will remain closed until 6 p.m. on Saturday and will remain open until the conclusion of the fireworks event at approximately 9:30 p.m. 3rd Street between Wendell Falls Parkway and the Wendell Park, and Martin Street between Cook and 3rd Street would also need to close around 3 p.m. And then 3rd Street between Cypress Street and Wendell Falls Parkway would close at approximately 5 p.m. All streets will remain closed until evaluated by the police department, but no later than 10:30. Being a new event, we're not exactly sure how quick we can get everybody out and get traffic flowing regularly. Activities at this event will include music and 11 different food trucks. Visitors are encouraged to bring blankets, chairs, and activities for their families to enjoy. Alcohol and personal fireworks will not be allowed in the park as usual. Visitors are also asked to refrain from bringing coolers, pets, or personal fireworks to the event as well. The safety of those attending this event necessitates the temporary street closures.
Any questions for Mr. Pulaski? Yes.
Can you just explain the park closure? I think this maybe is a little bit different than what I had read before.
The park normally closes at dark anyway, so 9 o'clock is a normal closing time for the park. But what we want to ensure is that people aren't in there Saturday when we try to come in and set up, that people aren't already trying to park there and get their spots while staff is trying to set up, because we're very limited with how many parking spaces we're allowed inside of Wendell Park. And it would just require a lot of manpower to try and locate who these vehicles belong to while we're trying to set up.
That's helpful, thank you. And Can you talk about the landing view at the park property once 500, so at 6 o'clock, are you going to open the gates, let 500 in?
We're going to have a
and then close
counter.
it?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Thanks, Jeff.
Yes.
Madam Mayor, I move we approve the temporary street closures requested for the fireworks display.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the temporary street closures for the firework display. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Right,
Thank you.
Item 6D is a support letter to the United States Department of Transportation requesting federal funding to replace the primary runway at RDU International Airport. Mr. Garner.
Good evening. Sorry, I'm making sure I'm on the right slide. Here to ask you to consider approval and signature of a support letter for RDU's request for federal funds to replace their primary commercial runway. The funding would give them around $275 million of a estimated $366 million total project. Just a little bit about RDU, because it's so far away from here. Prior to the pandemic, flight levels were actually already at levels that they expected to reach at 2030. So RDU has vastly surpassed its sort of growth trajectory. So that's what has necessitated this sort of premature replacement of the commercial runway. As stated in our letter of support, the airport generates about $15 billion annually for the area, including providing over 100,000 jobs for the Greater Triangle area. As far as its impact on Wendell, pretty much every request for information we get for economic development projects so far here has had a commercial airport within a certain driving distance as a mandatory aspect of the project. So the airport being there means Wendell has a place in the economic development world in Wake County, and we should do everything we can to support it. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the airport or the letter.
Any questions from the board?
Two quick questions.
Yep.
Have we heard anything? I see this was requested by TJ Cog. Have we heard anything from RDU or the authority?
They gave us a presentation early in the spring about the next couple of years for their plans, but not specifically as it pertains to this request.
And really where I'm going, specifically because you mentioned how often airports and commercial service airports come up in the conversations that you're having and economic development opportunities for the town. I don't know much about how the authority's membership is made up and who appoints who, but it just seems like figuring out who our representatives are on the authority, if it's all of them or some subset, and having some kind of relationship with them could be valuable. I'd encourage you to build those relationships too. And then in the letter, the draft letter, in the second paragraph, if you happen to have it in front of you, but I can tell you what I'm talking about.
Sure.
It just this short sentence kind of struck me as a little odd. It says with the Research Triangle area being the fastest growing in the U.S. The Research Triangle area isn't necessarily a defined thing that I think you can compare to every other area. I think maybe just one of the fastest growing. We're not the fastest growing on many markers, but we are definitely in the top group. So I always like to be accurate when I write this sort of thing. So if you don't mind wordsmithing that a little bit, I'd appreciate it, if that's not too much trouble.
No, sir. And yes, sir.
Anything else?
I'll just make a quick comment. This has been a topic the COG has discussed a few different times. We actually had the RDU authority come out and speak to our Rotary group as well. So, and don't quote me on this, but the way I understand it is RDU receives a pretty small portion, and so I think the fight or the ask or whatever you want to call it is more for our fair share of money. So I'm in favor of this for sure. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Madam Mayor, I move we approve the support letter.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the support letter. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Next, updates on board committees by town board members. We'll hear from Campo, from Commissioner Eatman.
All right, thank you. We had our Campo board meeting recently, covered a lot of ground as usual. I'm going to run through those items quickly. We adopted the fiscal year 23, the upcoming fiscal year work plan for Wake Transit, which includes a few things that are relevant to us. One, the regular funding for our park and ride lot. That's a shared cost between them and us. Important to keep that service going. A new East Raleigh Transit Center on New Bern Avenue at Wilders Grove, so continuing to find ways to bring transit specifically and all modes of transportation to the eastern part of the county, and that'll be a big component of the bus rapid transit that'll eventually come from downtown Raleigh and other parts of the county all the way out here, if we have our way. And also funds to study future transit extensions. So that's something that, again, all those pieces are related to bringing transit to eastern Wake County and continuing to bolster what we have. Got a presentation on DOT's mileage-based user fee pilot program, where they're continuing to explore how transportation funding works. You've probably heard about that some in the news recently, not this program, but just how transportation funding works. It's mostly through the gas tax, which is a user fee, but as different vehicles get different gas mileages, and that continues to really separate out into different classes. I think lots of conversations are happening about how to ensure that everybody who's using the roads pays to support their maintenance and construction. So I think that's an interesting opportunity to test out some ideas about how that could work based off of the number of miles you drive as opposed to just the gallons of gas that you buy. Had an interesting presentation about the Western Wake traffic signal system integration study, which again, all these as usual are long, boring sounding names, but the idea behind this is traffic lights don't just work on their own, they're networked together, and they all are intended to build a system where traffic can move freely without getting to one red light and then the next and then the next and creating gridlock. So the more that those systems are smart, talk to each other, and also understand what the traffic is like in real time, the better traffic will flow. So sometimes you don't have to build more lanes, you just have to have better management of the traffic. In the western part of the county, there's an effort, and this study specifically is addressing how to ensure that that happens more. Those different traffic signals around the western part of the community of the county talk to each other more, and I think that that's something we talk about a lot, that we're following the footsteps of other parts of the county that have already gone through the growth that we're going through today. I think the biggest benefit to that is we get to learn what not to do or what to do earlier. And I think that this is a good example of figuring out how we can integrate things on the front end regionally. Again, that regional conversation we talk about a lot in eastern Wake County and in the Triangle as a region, as opposed to just individual towns trying to do things on our own. I think there's a lot of opportunity to find ways that as we build new traffic signals, that we make sure that they have the best technology and most reliable technology that we can find. That's something you've heard our board talk about recently, but also that they communicate with the signals in Knightdale and Zebulon and Johnston County as well, and how do we make sure that all those pieces work together as a big traffic network, not just individual intersections that are problems, because if you knock out one problem, that's just going to domino to the next. Got an update on the mobility, from the Mobility Coordination Committee about ADA services, so just accessibility for people with disabilities, really focusing on how to get folks around where they need to go, especially related to healthcare, especially in the rural parts of our county and our region. So that's a big relevant topic for Eastern Wake County. Happy to talk about that more and things that are going on if you're interested. Talked about the upcoming, not this starting fiscal year, but fiscal year 2024. We're always talking a long time from now, but the next fiscal year's locally administered project, forget that second P, but LAP projects, you hear us talk about those a lot, and potential changes to the score and to bring in an equity score and other things to make sure that we're finding ways to invest the money that we have as equitably and as efficiently as we can across all the needs that we know we have in the region. And then finally, we had a presentation from DOT on the draft State Transportation Improvement Program. That's DOT's big 10-year capital improvement program that really is the last step. There's lots of steps in the transportation funding process, but the last big step before a project becomes real is getting programmed in the STIP. It's called often STIP. And that's a 10-year plan that's updated every 2 years. So the draft has been released. That's available for comment now. Comment from NPOs and from our town staff. They're reviewing it, and lots of people across the state. You're certainly welcome to provide comment as a citizen as well. The big thing to point out about the new STIP is that the estimate tool that they use to predict how much a project is going to cost has continued to be improved as the STIP process has been updated and really fleshed out over the last decade or so of it being in place. Not even quite a decade. It's still a relatively new process. And that means that we get better estimates, but sometimes those are higher estimates. We also know that everything costs more right now than it did last year. So because of that, there are fewer projects overall that are in the new draft STIP than the current STIP that's in place. It's a reality of honest budgeting and ensuring that, we do what we can. There's not a lot less money. There's just projects that cost a lot more money. So that means there's less that you can afford to do over that 10-year period. Certainly encourage you always to talk with people you know in leadership positions, whether that's here at the county or certainly at the state and federal level, to encourage folks to provide funding to our transportation needs. They certainly are abundant here in Eastern Wake County and in Wendell, and that's the case in a lot of parts of our state. So the funding that's available really dictates how many projects get funded and which projects get funded. So that's interesting. A few highlights in Eastern Wake County that are in that draft, though, are replacing the bridge on 231 over the railroad here in town. So that's just right between 3rd and 4th Street, or 4th Street and Wendell Boulevard on 231. Repairing and widening what is now called I-87, Nightdale Bypass, 264, whatever you want to call it, but big improvements all the way from the belt line out to the 264 split at Zebulon. Additional lanes, repaving lanes, knowing that that's a big corridor of a lot of traffic is going to continue moving that way, east-west out of Raleigh in future years. And then a couple of improvements on Smithfield Road, the interchange at I-87 off the interstate, as well as the intersection of Smithfield and Poole. A lot of the folks that come through Wendell, especially that intersection we talk about all the time of Wendell Falls Parkway and Eagle Rock Road, are going to Johnston County. And the more that the Smithfield Road corridor is a place that traffic can move quickly and freely and smoothly, the less often people are going to have to come all the way out here to get down to Johnston County. They'll be able to take Smithfield Road. Without traffic, that's usually the fastest way to get to most parts of Johnston County. It's just when it backs up that people start coming through Wendell. So excited about anything on Smithfield Road because I think it has really important indirect impacts and improvements and benefits to the traffic problem in Wendell. So that's a lot, but I appreciate you indulging me, and I think that's all for me.
Okay, thank you. Let's do our commissioners' comments. Commissioner Joyner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First off, I'll go back to a piece from the earlier items. Mean it when I say, especially when we kick something out 2 weeks, if anyone has any questions or comments or concerns, reach out to me. Did this on this last project and didn't hear anything back, which is also fine, but certainly can't fix problems that we're not aware of, and always happy to work through those with you. So thank you for indulging me on that. you just heard us talk about it, but the Wendell's first fireworks show, this Saturday, 9 o'clock. Check Facebook. There's a map online where you can figure out where you can see the show from. It's going to be a good time for all. Also, kids are out for the summer. Wanted to draw attention to the fact that Tuesdays from 11 to 1, the Wendell Community Center is offering free lunch to kids from 1 to 18. Additionally, for everyone, I know there's a lot still here, I appreciate everyone applying to be on citizen boards. We had a lot of applications this year. I appreciate folks' interest in it. I certainly appreciate people being willing to serve. And I hope that continues moving forward. And finally, wish our youngest commissioner a happy early birthday. I believe Commissioner Eatman's birthday is tomorrow. That's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Commissioner Lutz?
Thank you, Mayor. Just to speak, whenever I kind of vote against something, I kind of like to just kind of let everybody know where my mind was coming from. I don't like speaking against things that the town recommends, but one thing that's important to me is still being very selective with anything that comes through the town, and we've approved a lot of things in the past 4 years, and I just want to maintain my selective nature when it comes to projects that get presented to us. I've said it before, we have a valuable asset, which is land, which is real estate out here. We're quickly growing, and I'm thankful for that. It's blessed our town from a standpoint of a budget. It's been exciting as being a commissioner for doing this time, but I still want to continue my selective nature. So if I skew more towards that end, that is just kind of my positioning a little bit, just to ensure that, as time goes along, that as our town continues to grow, we have the ability to have these places of land for more variety of housing. And again, I respect all the commissioners up here, and we all have our different thoughts and approaches to things, and but that is just where I come from. Second thing, I had the pleasure of attending the Historical Museum grand opening. I guess it was just last week. I'll be honest with you, on Thursday night, it was a busy night at our house. I thought I'd pop in there real quick and then get on back home because we had a lot of stuff going on in my house. And I guess the history dork in me got reading, and then I realized I'm gonna have to get out of here and come back another day because it impressed me how well that museum was done. And if you haven't gone, if you think I'm not a museum person, it is incredibly cool. For somebody who's not born and raised in Wendell, to see that stuff and to see just how many people I know who were born and raised here and how proud they were of it and how excited they got just walking through it. It was truly a neat thing. I think the Historical Society did a fantastic job. I know Conley, a lot of those guys on the board and ladies on the board, they did a fantastic job. So if you haven't gone, go, because it is something to be proud of, really, in this town. So that's all.
Thank you. Commissioner Eatman?
I just want to say thank you to Commissioner Joyner for the birthday wishes. Echo Commissioner Lutz about the need for you to go visit Wendell's new history museum. It really is impressive. And I go and work in museums every day for my job. And it's an impressive museum, not just for Wendell, but it's really something to go see. We certainly have a great history to tell and a great town to get to be part of. And then finally, as you just all heard, I can talk about transportation probably more than any of you want to hear. But if anybody really enjoyed what I had to say and wants to talk about it more, give me a call. I'd love to talk to you about all the interesting things going on in transportation, Wendell and regionally.
Thank you. Commissioner Tarnowski?
Good evening, Mayor. I'd like to wish the town and the employees a happy 4th and a safe 4th. And that's all I have tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Commissioner Deloach?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just want to tell the applicants for all of our town boards that we appreciate your willingness to do that. We hope that you will continue to, number one, care about what we do and care about our town, and continue to be involved and to show up for these meetings, stay for the entirety, and appreciate the passion. I preach it a lot, so I just want to say thank you for that. And I am excited about the fireworks. I will say that for the record. So, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Real quickly, I wanted to echo my thanks to all the people who are willing to serve on citizen boards. It's really a big deal. It's important that you want to participate. We're doing some great things here, and I don't blame you for wanting to be part of it. If you were not selected to be on one tonight, there are other opportunities. If you contact me, I can put you in touch with some other folks, because there's a lot of opportunities to be part of all the good things happening in Wendell. Secondly, the Wendell Museum's been mentioned a few times. One of the men on the board tonight of the Wendell Museum is Neil Conley, and he has retired in the last few years of being the director of all of the aquariums for the entire state of North Carolina. And so I've been inside a few times, and it's just beautiful. It's not just some few tables sitting around with some things sitting on top. The displays are beautiful. I would challenge any place, anywhere, to have a better and more professional display. It's just really beautiful, so I'd urge you to go and visit. Last thing, the Wendell fireworks. I just wanted to give everybody a quick reminder and let you know that if you look on the town website and go down, scroll down, there's a button for Wendell fireworks. Excuse me, and it has all the information that you will need there. It has maps for the bus routes. There's going to be bus routes. It has maps for parking. There is going to be some limited parking at the community center, at the community park. I believe they said, how many, 600 cars or something like that, 500 cars, signaling me. And there is some handicap parking there as well, which is nice. So those people can drive in their car and sit and watch from the car. Another interesting thing that's on there is a map that shows the balloon test that was done. So there may be some places and you might be able to see them in your backyard. It just depends on trees and heights and how far away you live, but you can look on there and find where you live and see if it's possible. You might need to get your kids in bed, and maybe you can just watch from home. So anyhow, there's a lot on there. I'd urge you to take a look at that, and there's a lot of lists, the do's and don'ts, and parking and bus routes and things like that. And that's exciting that we have that on there. So take a look at that if you have any questions. And that's all. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, we're adjourned.